Welcome back. The Power Hour ladies are here again. Woohoo! So
Yay.
exciting. Hey everyone, we're going to do a follow-up on a little excerpt that we did the other day. Speaking into the CEO and the HR chief, right? The chief HR person from the other
Correct.
day. The Coldplay video. So here's the ugly truth. A modern conversation about social media relationships and the cost of exposure. So Renee, how about our overview?
Well, when we were looking at it, we were discussing, was cheating okay? And, that was we were all pretty much agreeing that cheating wasn't okay. But we also brought up the fact that we don't know what their other side of their relationship really is.
Right.
And then we also discussed, well, they turned around and ran when they noticed they were on the kiss cam. However, that just means that maybe they have open relationships, but it's not out for public.
Right.
Because I mean, that's a very personal thing.
Yeah.
So even though somebody may have a relationship that they consider that's open,
Mhm.
they may not want to broadcast that to everybody.
Right.
Because remember, it also will attract other people that maybe they don't want to be open with.
Right.
And so, so I mean, there's a lot of different things, but there were some things that we could talk about today about that following up.
You know what? And in an era where personal moments can become public in an instant, the ugly truth, it'll dive deep into how social media blurs the line between private lives and public judgment, especially in the matters of love and infidelity and family dynamics. This set against the backdrop of real life viral incident, the CEO and HR chief, they're caught on camera at a Coldplay concert. The discussion just explores the aftermath of being exposed and the moral dilemmas that it creates. So, you know what? What about a viral moment, Lisa?
Not exactly the viral moment that I would want.
Not me either.
You know, and Renee's agreeing with that. But I think it's also like, how much do you want to hide?
Right.
I mean, guilty by omission in a court of law is when you don't tell the whole story, right? And you leave parts out of the story.
But whose business is it?
Right, but still, form of lying, right? Just like spying is.
Right.
So it's about how deceptive, I think, do you want to be? And I think that's why we're talking about the ugly truth, because there is that element of deception if you are cheating. Now, they were, okay, because it was everywhere. The wife didn't know about it. That's how we know that wasn't an open relationship, which I am agreeing with you. I mean, there are a lot of relationships out there that are polyamorous.
Yes.
People are not monogamous. They can have multiple partners and their partners are okay with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the kind of the subject that I would want to get up on is that you just have open conversation around that.
Right.
And that everyone understands that relationship is open.
Different story. But I don't want to share my partner. Yeah. When I have a partner and I'm in a committed relationship, I want that to be one-on-one and that's it.
So do you have that conversation at the beginning, first date, second date, third date right away to get that out of the way? Okay. So you basically find out if that person is monogamous, wants to be with one partner, or is open to multiple partners.
Because if they're open to multiple partners, I'm not interested.
Right. Right.
So that's over my line. That's out of my non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And I think, most people, if they're looking for a new partner, need to have their own list of their non-negotiables and you might as well be honest and upfront right away when you're in that part of developing a new relationship, because otherwise, why waste the time down the road, if they don't meet your non-negotiables? I want a Christian man. I want, I have my list of what I want. And so I want to bring that up right out front.
Absolutely. And you know what? This was a seemingly innocent video. It became a storm of speculation. It revealed way more than just a moment of music. It exposed a potential affair, and it calls into question professional ethics, especially the marital loyalty and a public accountability, you know?
Yeah. And I think also too, because it was the element of business, right? Like the CEO having with an employee, which we're all told not to do, right? But then there's companies that are totally okay with that. They're, it's I'm sure, I mean, when you're in a corporate setting, it's probably not true, but maybe there's other industries where it's not. And I would imagine in small businesses, there's a lot of times where the owner of the company in a small business is having, you know, a relationship with his secretary, you know, and it's mostly, I've been told that, or I've studied some things around this with relationships, that it's because men and women bond, or men bond after over the hormone vasopressin. So when you're working through things together and you're coming up with solutions together, then you're more susceptible, I guess, to, you know.
Lots of times people will say, well, you're spending more time with your work wife.
Right.
You
know,
right.
Right. That way, anyway, you know, if you have a partnership and they feel like you're spending more time with that person you work with, then that's another dynamic.
Absolutely. Right. Your careers are jeopardized, you know, families are embarrassed, and narratives are spun by, you know, strangers who only see one side, you know?
Yeah. I think I saw people actually take their posts down.
Yes.
Because they didn't want to play on the part of like, using someone else's pain, like making jokes of it and different things, even though there's still a tremendous, still out there because of the kiss cam. People have really went crazy with, you know, all the different ways that AI can, you know, make two people look like they don't want to be together, you know?
It also brings into play infidelity and, you know, the relationship dynamics. You know, the incident acts as a springboard for broader conversation. And, you know, why do people cheat? Can relationships survive it? And how does betrayal feel when everyone online has an opinion?
Can you imagine?
Well, with everybody having their own opinion, you know, it goes back to the old saying, someone else's opinion of me is none of my business. You know, so, but are they able to separate with social media being as widespread as it is? And look how this is blown up, you know, where, you know, in a crowded room, we were at a show this past week. We went to Motown show in Las Vegas. And they brought it up on stage as soon as the show started and used Kiss Cam as their secret word of the night. So, I mean, it's out there everywhere. So how do you feel about when that happens? You know, do you set the record straight by making your own statement? Do you avoid it? Do you not read the social media? You know, and kids today, look at our families. Kids today with social media, they get bullied, they get hurt, they do things that probably they would never have done. If it wasn't exploited on social media. So where do we draw the line with adults? Where do we draw the line with what's okay to say? I don't want to hurt somebody on purpose. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me.
So the moral dilemma is to speak or stay silent. The discussion ends on that provocative question. If you know someone is being cheated on, is it your responsibility to say something?
Nope.
You know,
don't be a parent.
You know what? You know, it's interesting. Because I would want to know. If it was me, which is interesting to me because I would want to know. However, because I know does not mean that I would share with that person, especially if I don't know them personally, which I think that's interesting. And I don't know what the psychological piece to that is.
Well,
if it was happening to me, I would want to know. Okay.
Well, but I thought that with my friend years ago that I shared in the last piece that we did. And seriously, I thought for sure she would want to know, and that would change her mind about this person. And it didn't. She dropped me as a friend. Then went searching for me 25 years later to say she was sorry because they broke up 2 weeks later.
Oh my God.
It's a real thing because I wonder the psychological piece on this because it's like why I would want to know. Okay. And I have been cheated on. Okay. So I know that feeling of feeling betrayed and having to rework that whole scenario in my own mind to be able to move forward. So I would want to know. However, if I don't know that woman personally, I wouldn't tell her. But if it was a friend of mine, like if it was you and I knew, or if it was Renee, or it was somebody I know personally, oh my God, if it would, I would 100% go to them.
Absolutely.
If it was one of my friends, 100% I would go to them. But if they're not, no, I wouldn't. Very interesting.
The outcome.
Well, because I think if you know the person personally, like, I don't know, I would feel bad. Did you know the person? Oh, God. I don't know. I don't know how to go to her. I don't know. For me.
She never talked to me. 25 years later.
And then the other thing is, too, I had women that came to me and I knew, you know, like I caught him and I knew and I talked to the women and this, that, and the other. Of course, he lied about it, but I went directly to the woman and she actually gave me the truth. And several of them did. So that was the game changer for me. I still, knowing the truth, still married him. Do you know what I'm saying? I still, right? So
we're with a monogamous cheater.
Yeah.
And you married him anyway.
Exactly. So, but you know what? He told me at the beginning of our marriage, he was like, I can't be faithful, you know?
Oh, I understand.
And so he admitted it, you know, that he had an issue with just wanting to be with so many women and could not, bring himself to have any self-control around that area.
Yeah.
You know what? While it may not be everyone's duty to intervene, the question itself reveals what we value, the honesty, the loyalty, or the boundaries.
Yeah.
It's not about having a universal answer, but about recognizing the weight of silence and the impact of the ugly truth.
We would love to hear from you. I think this is great because I'm really interested in knowing, if you knew, like Renee and I are talking about, you knew the person personally, would you tell your girlfriend? Would you tell, your friend, or would you not say anything if you don't know them personally? I would love to know the truth. And then also too, I think it was good that you said, is it something that you can come back from? I forgave the person and ended up marrying them. We ended up getting divorced, but the bottom line is that we did come back from it.
Yes.
So, I'm wondering if that also plays a part. Yeah.
I think it's possible, but not in all circumstances.
Right.
It's not gonna work out.
Right.
So
good stuff.
It's absolutely good stuff.
That's the message.
That's the ugly truth. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye, everyone.